Well, hello there. Now, you may be wondering, what's all this about? Well, I just came out as non-binary, there's a video about it up there, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about Frankenstein, because it's Halloween. And I am a person who collects Frankenstein stuff, so I thought, wouldn't it be fun for me to just talk through all my Frankenstein stuff? I don't know, would that be fun? You tell me. And of course, where else are we going to start but with the book? This is all of my copies of the book Frankenstein. I have 16 of them. And I know what you're thinking, it's not enough. So we're going to start off here with the first copy of Frankenstein that I ever bought. This is the 2013 Penguin Classics edition. It's just a pretty simple, nice grey hardback. This is a version of the 1831 edition of the book, which most of the ones I have are the 1831 because that's just what most companies publish. And it's got a little introduction, a chronology of the book. You know, it's a pretty good introductory, it's a nice gift edition. You know, if you were looking to get someone a copy of Frankenstein for a present, this would be like a good one to do it with. It's nice. And then this is another Penguin Classic. This is the 2012 paperback one. It's again the 1831. Like I say, most of them will be. This one I got basically as one that I could do notes in, although looking at it, I haven't actually made any notes in this copy. Weird. But yes, this is just this is a very, very plain, serviceable paperback. You're not really getting much thrill out of it. You know, it's not an exciting one, but it's a good one. So I've got here two Oxford's World Classics versions of the 1818 text. So this is the original text was in 1818, the later edition was in 1831 where she revised and changed a bunch of things. So this one is from 2008, this one is from 2018. They are both the same version of the text. I'm pretty sure they have like the same introduction. Let's see, introduction and notes by Marilyn Butler, and in this one, so this one has notes by Nick Groom, who's a different person. Yeah. Edited with an introduction and notes by Nick Groom. So there's actually, so these are actually two separate versions of the 1818 text with different notes by different people published by the same company 10 years apart. That's actually pretty... This is me learning this right now in front of you. That's actually pretty interesting, I think. Cool. And as I said, they've got some pretty nice cover art on these ones. You know, I think that's meant to be like Victor. I don't know why it's got like a weird bird in the thing there. And there's like someone else's hand pointing it. So I don't know what that picture is from. Cover illustration, Joseph Wright of Derby, an experiment on a bird in the air pump. So no, that's not Victor. That's just some guy doing an experiment on a bird in an air pump. Seems unpleasant and cruel, but okay. Cover illustration, detail from L'An de Destin by Odelin Redon. I don't know, it's just a creepy looking dude. I guess it's meant to kind of symbolise the monster. Yeah, I quite like that. And it's good that people publish versions of the original 1818 text because, as I say, most versions are the 1831, and so it is good that one has been maintained. So this is the 2010 Collins Classic edition. This is a very, very basic, just, you know, it tells you the story as is. There's no, like, notes, there's no introduction, there's no any extra stuff here. It's got some, like, definitions of some older words that you might not know in the back, which is kind of nice. But generally, yeah, this is just a very, very basic, straightforward. This was very, very cheap. But it's a nice one. And it's got this creepy looking eye on the cover. I quite like that. You know, it's evocative. It's more interesting than just like a plain thing. So here we have the 1996 Norton Critical Edition. This one, I found this in like a second-hand shop. And it's got like the plastic cover on like you would get in like with a library book, but it doesn't have any like library notes or cards or anything. So I don't know what the past of this book is before I got it, but it does have some handwritten notes inside by someone called Philip something, I can't read his writing probably, from 2008, marking in pencil, and he's got like a family tree of who the characters are. There's all sorts of little notes and like underlined bits. I'm flicking through and I'm saying there's loads of them, and I'm getting all the bit where there's a name, but there's like bits circled. There's little notes throughout the side all the way through this book. And I remember when I bought it from the secondhand shop, the guy like looked through and he saw that there were notes in it, and he made it like knock some money off the price for me. Like, because, someone's already written in the book, so I'll make it a little bit cheaper. I'm like, you fool. I would have paid more. They increase the value. I do genuinely think it's nice when you can get a second-hand book and it's got that little bit of history to it, It's... Because, like, most of the ones I get them new. Just buy them... I just, like, look around bookshops and go, oh, there's one. And so it is quite nice to find ones like that where it's like, oh, yeah, someone has owned and used this book before and, like, made their own notes in it. So it's quite nice to get this particular version. The cover illustration is Sea of Ice by Caspar David Friedrich, which is... Yeah, so it's like a little picture of like the North Pole, which obviously where the story ends, and where it begins. It's the bookend of the story is at the North Pole, and it looks, it's quite a nice little picture of that. So these ones are the Macmillan Collector's Library. So this version is from 2004, this version is from 2017, and they're both the same, basically. It says complete and unabridged on the front of this one, which you would hope. Like, you don't want to get an abridged version of the book. Afterwards by David Pinching, so therefore this one, if it also has an Afterwards by David Pinching, yeah, Afterward by David Pinching. These are the same exact text. Like, no differences between these two. They've got the nice gold down the side of it, which I quite like. It makes it very, very pretty. This one's got a very, very plain, kind of boring cover. And this one, it's got a nice picture of Boris Karloff on the front, which I think is a much nicer looking thing to have on your shelf than this one. And it's got like this kind of rendering of, I guess that's meant to be Victor. I don't know, it says, I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created. Yeah, but those are both nice, compact, pocket-sized. You could take them with you on the go. They're good. They're good. They will do the job. I guess technically any of these would do the job if you're just looking for a copy of the book Frankenstein. They're books. They do the job. They can be read. So this is a brand new one. This is by Flame Tree Publishing. So this one just came out this year, 2021. And it's got this very nice gilded edge. It's got really, really gorgeous cover design, I think. A new introduction by Dr. Sarah Faulkner. That's very cool. Well, that is one of the cool things you find with getting different editions of Frankenstein like I do. You get so many different introductions and different notes and annotations. You can actually pick up so much about the book by reading different versions of it. And that's a very interesting thing that you'll only really get if you collect it like I do. Because, most people are going to get the one version that they use, and that'll be it. Which is fair enough. Obviously, I don't expect everyone to buy, 16 copies of Frankenstein just because they're interested in different introductions and things. But I think it is an interesting thing how people will actually kind of have different experiences of the story based on the edition they read, because they might get entirely different information coming out of, the introduction, or, a different set of emotions put through, and different notes and things, and that is very interesting to me. Of course, I haven't actually read most of these versions of it. I've read the book enough times, but obviously I haven't, every time I get a new book, I don't stop and read through one of them. So, So this is one that I have shown off a lot in some of my videos. This is the 2014 Pulp the Classics edition. This is, again, the 1831 text, and I really love this one. It's so sweet. I mean, in terms of, the actual book itself, it doesn't have any notes or anything. It's a very, very basic, simple paperback, but it just wins so many points for presentation by having the James Dean Frankenstein's monster on the front, which I recently discovered. Someone put up a picture of James Dean once went to a Halloween party dressed as Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. So this is real. This actually happened. I mean, obviously this isn't actually a picture from that, but it's just such a fun picture. And they did a whole range of these Pulp the Classic ones where it's different actors from films as the monsters and things. And my favourite one is one they did of The Metamorphosis, which has Jeff Goldblum as Gregor Samsa. I love it so much, it's amazing. But yeah, this is one of my very favourite editions of it because it's just aesthetically. On the back is it, he's big, he's bad, he's ugly, and he really wants a wife. Frankenstein's monster is on the rampage, terrorising the locals, unleashing murderous hell and reading novels in his spare time. Can his petrified creator stop this reign of horror before his girlfriend gets the chop? So, they leaned into what they were doing here. They found an aesthetic that they wanted to go with, and they nailed it. So this is a very nice edition this came out in 2020 from Puffin Books. And in terms of the actual thing itself, it's not particularly remarkable. It's got this nice little lightning design going down the margins of the pages, but It's a very, very basic edition of the book, as most of them tend to be. But it's, again, presentation-wise, because it's got this really gorgeous rendering of, like, legally distinct from Boris Karloff, but very, very clearly based on him. And then it's got like, the back of the head on the backside. And if I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear, which is a great quote. And it's just this really nice, like, I really like the pink. I think it really offsets the green. It's a good, simple, nice cover. Good job there. This comes from 2015. This is the Penguin Classics. Again, it's a nice good edition. It's this kind of like faux leather kind of thing going on the cover. And it's the similar vibe to the other Penguin Classic ones. It's got like the heart design on the front. And it says, Mary Shelley Frankenstein, the world was to me a secret which I desired to divine. And on the back it says, my candle was nearly burnt out when, by the glimmer of the half-extinguished light, I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. Dun dun dun. And that's it. This is another one. It's not especially remarkable on the inside. You know, it has the original preface. It doesn't have an introduction. It doesn't really have any notes or anything going through it. This is just a very nice, plain, simple one. But in terms of the aesthetic of it, like this is just such a nice, like, gift edition version. You know, again, this is another one that like you would buy for someone who hasn't read the book and you wanted to get them a nice birthday present or something. You know, this is a nice one to have. It looks very good on the shelf. That's like a big part of the reason for buying books, isn't it? You know, just because it'll look nice on your bookshelf. Be honest. So now I've got a few illustrated editions. This is the Lindward illustrated edition. This was originally published in 1934. This is a reprint from 2016. And this has got some absolutely stunning illustrations in it. There we go. So there's like one of the full page ones. So these were done, Lindward did these all through wood cuttings, and they've got this very kind of like minimalist expressionistic style that like is really, really gorgeous to look at. That's like the creature hunched over looking sad. You know, in fact, I think that is him killing William. So, yeah, because there's little baby William down the bottom. There's like Elizabeth draped over the bed. It's really, really gorgeous, and like with it being a slightly bigger copy of it, you know, they managed to like really get the detail of the carvings in. There's the creature looming over the bed. Again, this one is like, I saw the illustrations from this one online, and it was like, I have got to get a copy of that. Look at that. That is absolutely stunning. I really love this one. And it's got like, again, it's got his illustrations on the front and on the back, which is what you would want. And so yeah, this one is very, very good. Very recommended, that one. So this is the Bernie Wrightson illustrated edition. This was originally published in 1983, and it's illustrations that Bernie Wrightson did throughout the 70s. And basically, like, he published, I can't remember the exact number now, I can look it up later, but he published like there's something like 50 hand-drawn illustrations in here, which are so detailed, and they've got all this cross-hatching. And as I understand it, Bernie Wrightson basically gave himself carpal tunnel while making this book. Like, this was like such a passion project for him. He like practically destroyed his ability to draw anything else by just doing all the cross-hatching he had to do to get the details in on this. I'll find some of the, because there's big splash pages in it. But yeah, like that one there. The creature walking through the woods. The amount of detail on this cross-hatching is absolutely stunning. Like, it is such good work. And it's got an introduction by Stephen King, which is pretty cool. So yeah, like this one was like, it's a real labour of love from Bernie Wrightson. Again, the art is fantastic. It's a really, really lovely version of the story to have. And it's particularly nice that, again, Bernie Wrightson, sadly he passed away. And so it's nice to have things like this to like, this will always be there to live on now that he's gone. You know, this is his art, this is his work, this is something beautiful and concrete that will always be left behind. Okay, so this is the 2018 illustrated edition by David Plunkett from Classics Reimagined. I think that there is a line of these. I know they did one of Edgar Allan Poe stories. I haven't seen, but I haven't actually looked at that one, but it's probably very good. If it's anything like this one, then it's very good. So this was done for the 200th anniversary in 2018. It is the 1818 text, and it's just got some of the most gorgeous illustrations. It's got this very mixed media style. basically, like, almost every page of this thing is just pure aesthetic. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's got a bunch of really, really creative ideas and designs with it. Yeah, so here's one. This is... it's got these transparencies. This is when he's creating the bride for the creature that he ends up destroying, I think. And it's got like the musculature, the skeleton, the nervous system, the organs, and it's, again, it all comes together into like one thing. But it's like, yeah, it's this really cool layered thing. And it's got my other favourite one, which I will find. Yeah, so we see that's Victor, but then we flip over on the other side. Okay, so we see the creature being made there. He's got no legs down here. He's just popping the arm on there, and we open it up. And he's practically all made. How cool is that? It's like the little fold-out thing. Most people, they look at a fold-out like this, and they're looking at porn. But this is what I'm looking at: the Frankenstein monster. This is my porn. Oh, come on, that's terrible. Don't put that in the video. So yeah, this is one of my favourite versions. Highly recommend this one if you can still get it. As you can see, my version is kind of faded down the front there, that's where it's been on the shelf sticking out. So that's kind of a shame. But other than that, fantastic version, one of my favourites. Definitely recommend this one if you can still get it. And then finally, I have the 2017 new annotated edition by Leslie S. Klinger. This was, again, by Mary Shelley, but annotated by Leslie S. Klinger. This is a really, really fantastic version of it. It's got this really, really nice presentation. You can see you've got Boris Karloff on the front. You've got the painting of the Nightmare, Mary Shelley, the frontispiece from the 1831 edition, and the Edison film version from the very, very first film Frankenstein. And it's just this really, really nicely presented. It's got an introduction by Guillermo del Toro. And actually, Guillermo del Toro has done introductions for 2 different versions of Frankenstein. I only have this one, so I need to get the other one so that I can say I have 2 different copies of Frankenstein with 2 different introductions by Guillermo del Toro. But it's got lots of very, very good information all through the beginning. It's got this like kind of the history of everything that led into the book. There's Mary and Percy, and then throughout the text, it's annotated. So we get the main text there, but then we've got pictures, we've got notes down the margins, and the main thing that is very, very cool about this one is that this is the 1818 text, but as you go through it in the margins, in the notes, it will stop and say, this is what it says in the 1831 text here. So this is the only version I know that does that actually like stops and charts the differences between the two, so you can actually see it in real terms, because some of the differences are pretty big, but most of them are just like small tweaks and like changed a couple of words here and there, so it's actually very nice to have a version of it that's like, yeah, this is everything that was changed, and like maybe some of the reasons that you can think of why. There's like a lot of theorizing in it as well. It's a really, really good. This is probably the best annotated version you're likely to find, and so I really, really recommend this one. On the back, it's got quotes by like Neil Gaiman and Peter Straub and John Landis. That's a shame. He's a piece of shit. But other than that, fantastic version. Definitely recommended. And so that is all my versions of the actual book itself, like the original Mary Shelley book. But I have a lot of other books that are Frankenstein related, so I'm going to go through those as well. So first up is the Jungito Frankenstein adaptation. So I think I put this one next to the actual, like the main book, because it's the actual story of Frankenstein. It's just done in Junji Ito's very particular style. So it's a manga. It's got really, really nice artwork. When it gets to, it has a nice slow build. It follows the plot of the book mostly. It deviates in a few places here and there. But when we get to the real horror stuff, it's real horror show. It's real spooky scary. There's the boy. He's a big spooky boy, is Frankenstein in this one. It's very, very good. Like I really love this. I love Junji Ito's work. He's absolutely like one of the few things that like in terms of like comics that actually scares me is Junji Ito, because he's just got such a way with the body horror stuff. And then at the back of it, it's after the Frankenstein story. It's got a whole other set of short stories, just like to kind of fill out the rest of the book. So because it's fairly short, because Frankenstein's not a very long book, and it's got a whole other series of stories which are also terrifying and messed up. So yeah, this is a cool one. Definitely recommend this. That is a favourite thing. So next I have a few books about Frankenstein. So first up, this is Frankenstein, A Cultural History by Susan Tyler Hitchcock. As you can see, it's got this very, very nice cover here of various different Frankenstein things from throughout history. And it's basically, this looks at the cultural legacy of the book, so how it has affected things like movies and TV, comic books, politics. It has stuff about like the licensing of Universal Monsters stuff. This is like a really, really well researched, very compellingly written book. Because you get a lot of books that are like about this kind of thing that they might be well researched, but a lot of the time they're really, really boring. But this one is actually like really well done. I really like the cover of it. You know, a lot of times you get ones that are fairly like dull. It's kind of interesting that the title of the book isn't on the cover; it's only on the side, and it's got the Frankenstein text from the 1931 movie, which is like I love that font. That's a great one. So yeah, recommend this if you are interested in learning more about Frankenstein. This is a good way to do it. So this is Frankenstein 200 by Rebecca Bowman, the birth, life, and resurrection of Mary Shelley's monster. So this was created for a museum exhibition, I think, to celebrate the 200th anniversary. And so it's about some very, very specific things that they were showing at that exhibit, but it's got a lot of very, very good information. Yeah, it was at the Indiana University. They did like a Frankenstein collection there, and so it's got them kind of split up by the cases that they were presented in. But again, it's a lot of very, very interesting information with like these cool pictures of the stuff that they were showing. It's a good way to learn like a little bit of the context, a little bit of the history. I do enjoy this one. That is the frontispiece from the 1831 version, where it's like Victor just noping out of there as the creature's waking up, like, "Hey, where you going, buddy? Come back." It's not very nice. That's exactly what the creature sounds like, you know. This is Making the Monster by Catherine Harcup. This is about the science of Frankenstein. So this is like kind of getting into the historical context of things like galvanism and stuff like that. That was like the science that would have inspired the book, and like the historical context. I used this one when I was writing the video about body snatchers, because it has, like, that's why I've got these notes still sticking out the side of it. It has some very useful information about kind of the legality of body snatching and all this sort of thing. But yeah, this one, I listened to the audiobook of this one a while back, and then when I wanted to make that video and wanted to get that information again, I got the physical copy just because it's easier to make notes. And it's broken up into a lot of very different useful sections. It's really, again, this one I highly recommend as a text about Frankenstein, because it gives so much good context and it's presented in a pretty engaging way. This is a very, very good one. Okay, so now we're getting into some tangentially related territory. I've got some biographies. So this is a biography of Mary Shelley. It's In Search of Mary Shelley, The Girl Who Wrote Frankenstein by Fiona Sampson. This one just came out, I think it was in 2018, I want to say. Yes, this one came out in 2018 to time to the 200-year anniversary. A lot of stuff came out in 2018. Like, 2018 was a good year to be really getting into Frankenstein stuff. And this is a very, very good version, just telling Mary Shelley's life and using things like her journal entries and letters to kind of piece together what she might have been like as a person, though obviously we can only speculate on that. But it does a very good job of trying to present her as a human being rather than just a known literary figure. And this has kind of been like the basis of a lot of like my views on Mary Shelley has come from this book. And it's got some very nice glossy pictures in the middle, as you would expect from a nice biography. Like if you're looking for just a good simple biography of Mary Shelley, this is probably the one for you. This is a slightly more complex one. This is Romantic Outlaws, The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley by Charlotte Gordon. So it tells the story of Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft, who was her mother. And it's both their life stories, and it kind of intercuts, goes one chapter the next. And it's about the ways that their lives kind of... I mean, obviously, Mary Shelley's life didn't have that much of an effect on Mary Wollstonecraft's, considering the two were only alive at the same time for about 10 days? Something like that. It's more about how Mary Wollstonecraft's life mirrored Mary Shelley's in a lot of ways, and the influence that her legacy had on Mary Shelley, and just kind of the complicated lives of these two women who were pioneering figures at a time when things were not great for women. And as you can see, it is absolutely massive because it is covering two people's whole lives. And this one is, again, if you were looking for something more in-depth and gives a different context than just being about Mary Shelley's life, I highly recommend this one. So now this is where we start getting really tangential. This is a biography of James Whale. He was the director of the 1931 Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein. So a lot of this book is not about Frankenstein. There's only really a few sections that are about it, but those are kind of his most lasting works. That is the thing that, more than anything, that he is known for. And so I won't dwell on it because he's only, as I say, only tangentially connected to Frankenstein, but this is a pretty good biography of a very interesting man. He was an openly gay man working in Hollywood in the 1930s, and so it's a lot of his career got affected by his sexuality, and so there is kind of a tragic air to his life. But also, there's the possibility that he was kind of not a great person all the time. It's an interesting read. Definitely recommend it. This is Boris Karloff, A Gentleman's Life. This one, it's authorised biography by Scott Allen Nolan with the participation of Sarah Jane Karloff. So this one is okayed by Boris Karloff's daughter. I haven't actually read this one yet. I've been waiting to. I kind of love this kind of almost word art style on the back. It looks really cheap. But again, I'm interested to actually read this one and learn more about Boris Karloff's life. Because, I like the guy a lot, it could be said. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what his perspective on making Frankenstein was, if there's any of that. And, and to learn about the other films that he made, because he made some very interesting films outside of Frankenstein as well, did Boris Karloff. But yeah, I haven't read this one yet, so I can't really say if it's good or not, but I'm looking forward to reading it when I get some time. Okay, so next up, we have some miscellaneous books. I have a lot of Frankenstein books, okay? So these are ones that they're not the book itself, they're not, about the book, they're not about people connected to the story. These are just things that are, inspired by or loose adaptations of. So the first one here is Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmed Sadawi. My brother got me this as a present for my birthday one year. I did not finish this book when I tried to read it. I just did not gel with the writing style. It's Frankenstein in Baghdad. It's a story about modern day Baghdad, and someone puts together a Frankenstein-style creature, but I don't know fully what happens in it because, as I say, I didn't finish it because I just really didn't gel. I think it's probably because it was originally written in a different language and translated into English, and I don't know if I just gel with the style of. Yeah, it was originally published in Arabic, and then translated by Jonathan Wright in 2018. This book came out in. So this book was originally from 2013. This translation was from 2018, and as I say, it just didn't work for me. I don't know if that's the original book itself, or if it's just the translation. But I just did not gel with the writing style of it. I just was kind of bored by it. So, yeah, I don't really recommend this one. But it's a nice cover, at least. And I appreciate the thought that went into it as a gift from my brother. So this is one I've talked about before, back when I made my Queer Frankenstein video a couple of years ago, when I was very, very ill with a cold. And I cannot go back and look at that video because I'm just constantly aware that I was dying while I was making it. But this is a queer love story about a trans main character, and kind of intercuts that with the life of Mary Shelley as she is creating Frankenstein and in the aftermath of it. And it's really, really good, as I recall. Admittedly, I was not as informed about trans issues when I read it as I am now, when I have come out as trans. I recall this one being good. I would be interested to reread it sometime now that I have a bit more knowledge and see if I still feel the same way. I think this one is worth a read, in my opinion. But as I say, if I'm wrong about it, it's because I read it a while back when I wasn't as informed. So, apologies if I have recommended a book that is bad. I just didn't know, in that case. But if I recommended one that's good, then you're welcome. Just hit the wall. So this is a very silly one. This is Frankenstein starring Donald Duck. This is a Disney comic. They produced a whole line of these. There was Dracula with Mickey Mouse as Jonathan Harker and Goofy as Van Helsing. They did A Christmas Carol with Scrooge McDuck, but different to the animated version. I can't remember all the ones they did. I think there might be a list of the other ones they did in here somewhere. Yeah, so a few of the other ones they did. Treasure Island starring Mickey Mouse, and it looks like it's got Pete as Long John Silver. Disney's Moby Dick starring Donald Duck. Disney's Hamlet starring Donald Duck. And Disney's Don Quixote starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse. So yeah, they did a whole range of these. And it just tells the story of Frankenstein, but in like a more light-hearted, kid-friendly way. Like the creatures made out of cardboard is a whole thing in this. But like the art of it is absolutely stunning. Like it's really, really nice and expressive, and it's very fun. My only issue is that like it's in this weird smaller site. Like, you expect comics to be a bit bigger, and I had this other one. Like my little brother got me a DuckTales comic for my birthday last year or the year before, I forget which. That was like really, really shrunk down. Like the text on this one, they've got the text. Seems like the right size, but it feels like they've had a bigger comic that they've scaled down to sell in the paperback form, which is a shame if they have done that, because it's really, really nice artwork, and it would be better if it was like a bigger size. But yeah, this one's a fun one. I recommend giving that a go if you're looking for something just very, very silly, very fun, very lighthearted. So this is Frankenstein, an illustrated movie guide. So this was made in 1994. Yeah, 1994, and it's just a look at all the different Frankenstein movies that existed up until that time. I don't think this goes as far as Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's got like Frankenstein Unbound, Last Frankenstein, The Maddens Family. Oh no, it does have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Okay, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of the last ones that it has, because like it was the year that this book came out. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's got little ratings, like how many lightning bolts out of 5 they all have. And it's got like cool information. It's got, again, if you just want to see like what Frankenstein movies exist so that I can watch them, I can just look through this and then go, okay, I want to watch Liztomania. I picked a bad one for the example. I can just flick through and say, I want to watch The Face of Marble. I don't know what any of these movies. I haven't watched most of the Frankenstein movies that exist. I've watched some, and I quite like some of them. But yeah, this is a good book for just a nice little reference book, Okay, so this is Mary and Frankenstein. This is a children's book by Linda Bailey with illustrations by Julia Sarda. And it's about Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein. So it's got all the romantic poets living in the Villa Diodati. It's very, very nice artwork. They're just travelling around. It's got her learning to read at her mother's grave. It's got all sorts. This is a very, very good one. Because look at that, very nice artwork. There's the guy shouting together the Frankenstein while she's having a bad dream about it. Similar to that is She Made a Monster: How Mary Shelley Created Frankenstein by Lynn Fulton, illustrated by Phyllis de Sala. So there are 2 illustrated children's books about Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein that came out around similar times. So this one was 2018. Mary and Frankenstein came out in... Yeah, so this one came... These both came out in the same year, in 2018, to time with the 200th anniversary. What are the odds of that? 2 illustrated children's books about Mary Shelley creating Frankenstein. Again, and this one is very, very nice artwork, very, very pretty. This one seems to be like a little bit simpler in the writing. Like there's less of it, and it's a shorter book, this one. But yeah, it's good. And again, there's Mary learning to write on her mother's grave again. I will say the one in the Mary and Frankenstein is a better representation of what her mother's grave actually looks like. I know because I've seen it. It's cool. Look at all the ghouls and goblins. And she's all spooked out. She's having a bad dream. Yeah, it's good. I don't know why I'm showing you like the whole book. You should buy it yourself if you want to read it. It's good. It's a good one. Recommend that. This is Frankenstein Alive! This is a comic book with, let's see, yeah, it was written by Steve Niles with artwork by Bernie Wrightson, who did the illustrated version that I showed earlier. So this was mainly Bernie Wrightson's baby, basically. It's dedicated to his enduring memory. Bernie Wrightson had the idea for this, and it was his pitch, and he made all of the artwork, but it's only 4 issues long because, sadly, that was around the time he passed away. And the 4th issue, there's extra artwork done by Kelly Jones, just to kind of finish off what he had already worked on. But as you can see, it is gorgeous. Like, so much detail. And this tells, like, a sequel to Frankenstein, basically, where the creature gets away and he gets frozen, and then he just gets woken up later on. And he's like, oh, God damn it, I'm alive? No. And again, look at that. That is a stunning page. That is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, again, and it's pretty good. It does suffer from the fact that it's only the 4 issues and it's not finished, but obviously nothing that can be done about that when the person whose project it was passed away before it was done. And it's a shame. It would have been nice to see the rest of this story come into existence, but unfortunately it cannot be. I'm very glad that we got what we did. Okay, so now here's a few more silly ones. So this is Frankenstein according to Spike Milligan. So Spike Milligan wrote these in like the 90s? Yeah, first published in 1997. So I have 2 copies of this because I bought myself one, and then my friend, not knowing I had this one, bought me this one as a birthday present. So obviously I'm going to keep both. Like, I'm not going to throw one away. Perfectly good copy of Frankenstein according to Spike Milligan, which, by the way, sucks. This is a terrible book. He basically goes through, like, the very quick version of the plot of Frankenstein. It's very, very short. Like, it's less than 150 pages. And, like, goes through bits of Mary Shelley's text and then just sticks in bad Spike Milligan jokes. So this is really one of the least funny things I've ever read. I hate this book, but I own 2 copies of it. So that's the thing. This is a novelization of Young Frankenstein, written by Gilbert Perlman, based on the smash hit successor to Blazing Saddles. So yeah, it's just a novelization of the 1974 movie Young Frankenstein, which is one of my favourite movies. And it's got pictures in the middle, which I've got to be very careful with, because this is from the 70s, this is old, and it's falling apart. Like, the pages come out of the middle, and so I do need to be careful with it. But yeah, this is... I haven't read this one. It's been sitting on my shelf for like a few years at this point, and I still haven't read it, but it's pretty cool. It's again, just this old book from the 70s. Movie novelizations are such a funny thing to me. Because obviously at the time, there was no home media, so you had to have, if you wanted to experience this movie at home, you had to have like the novelization or like a record of the movie or something. And so this exists, and I haven't read it, but I am glad that it exists, because it's a fun, cool thing to have. And then another movie novelization, this one is baffling to me. This is a movie novelization of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, written by Leonore Fleischer. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is an adaptation of the book Frankenstein, and this is a novelization of that adaptation of the book Frankenstein. So this is the book Frankenstein written by someone else. And it's written in like a third-person omniscient perspective, whereas the book is all written in, like, the original Frankenstein book is all written in first person. So this is a bizarre, reimagined version of Mary Shelley's... Again, this is another one I haven't had the time to read, but that this exists at all is so bizarre to me. Because surely, if you wanted to just read the story of Frankenstein as a book, you would just read Frankenstein, wouldn't you? Why is this here? But as soon as I saw it existed, I was like, I've got to buy that. Look at that, man. That's amazing. I love it. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading these, all the ones I haven't read, when I get time to. And then this is the last book that I've got to show. So this is Young Frankenstein, The Story of the Making of the Film by Mel Brooks. So this is like a coffee table book of just what it was like making Young Frankenstein. This was done to tie into one of the anniversaries of the big page saying, Ovaltine. One of my favourite jokes. I forget what year this came out. But this was a lovely present from my older brother on my birthday that year. This came out in 2016, which was, I don't know, some kind of anniversary for the movie? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to make it. Who knows? But it's a good coffee table book. It's got a lot of good information about the making of one of my favourite movies. It's full of, like, great behind-the-scenes pictures. What hump? With Mel Brooks writing it, you get a lot of actually, like, behind-the-scenes stuff that's very, very interesting because, you know, he was there. And Mel Brooks, if there's anything that guy knows how to do, it's to tell an entertaining story. So yeah, this is a pretty good book. Pretty good coffee table book. Would recommend it. So that is all of the books that I have that are Frankenstein. But I've got a lot more Frankenstein stuff still to go. So I'll be right with you. Okay, so next up I've got some Blu-Rays and DVDs. I actually surprisingly don't own that many Frankenstein films, considering that I'm like a movie person. It's weird that I don't have that many. But I just don't. I don't know why. Don't know what to tell you. Yeah, first I've got some DVDs. This is Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. It's a very fun one. You know, it's the crossover between Frankenstein and the Wolfman that everyone wanted. Bela Lugosi plays Frankenstein's monster. Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. It's a pretty decent time. It's okay. House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, these were big crossovers with like multiple different ones of the creature. They're not especially great, but they're pretty fun, you know. Like Lon Chaney Jr. is the Wolfman in both of them. Glenn Strange is the creature. This one, Boris Karloff shows up to play like the evil doctor, and that's pretty great. And like John Carradine is Dracula. Like you can see him there. Look, that's John Carradine being Dracula, and there's Glenn Strange being the creature. You know, it's again they're not especially great, but they do the job serviceably if you want like a decent kind of fun Universal Monsters movie. So this is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy because, you know, 2 in 1. save yourself some money. This is part of like a Abbott and Costello box set that's got like Meet the Invisible Man, Meet the Spacemen, or whatever it's called. This is a very fun movie. Like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is probably the best like Universal Monsters crossover movie. It's a really, really fun time. I would recommend watching that one if you haven't. It's just it's a laugh, you know, and it's actually the only time technically that all those monsters appeared on screen at the same time, because in the other ones they're crossovers but they barely ever like meet each other. Like there's never a point where Dracula, Frankenstein and the Wolfman are all together on screen until this movie, when Dracula's played by Bela Lugosi again, and we love that. We love Bela Lugosi, he's great. Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it is a Frankenstein. No one can convince me that this is not a Frankenstein. Like, I know some of its depictions of certain things are problematic these days, but I enjoy it a lot. I don't enjoy that Richard O'Brien went a bit Truscum. That's not cool. We don't like that. We don't appreciate that, Richard. I won't even say a guilty pleasure. I just like this movie. I cannot deny it. It's a gay Frankenstein movie. Suits me. Then we got some Blu-rays. So I've got The Curse of Frankenstein. This is the first of the Hammer Horror Frankensteins. It's a 3-disc set. Double play includes DVD and Blu-ray versions. So this is the one with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. It is really, really fun, really, really cool. I mean, it's cheesy and naff, but it's everything that you would want out of a Hammer Horror Frankenstein movie. It's like gross, and Peter Cushing is just like an absolute monster as Baron Frankenstein. He's great. It's a delight. I love this movie a lot. Very related is The Horror of Frankenstein. So this one basically is a remake of The Curse of Frankenstein, also done by Hammer Horror about 20 years later. Yes, this was in 1970, so this was 16 years after The Curse of Frankenstein, which was 1954. They remade it as a comedy, and it's really, really funny and really, really good. But it actually still gets in some like decent like horror moments. And it's got Dave Prowse as the creature, so Darth Vader plays Frankenstein's monster in this one. He also played the monster in Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, but I don't own a copy of that. But that's also a very fun movie. And it's got Ralph Bates as playing Victor Frankenstein in it, and he is a delight. He was also in the movie Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, which is surprisingly pretty good. But yeah, I love Hammer Horror. There's just that very, very specific kind of cheese to them that is very, very delightful. I really, really enjoy movies like this. Then Young Frankenstein, because it's one of my favourite movies ever. What can I say about Young Frankenstein? It is one of my favourite movies. I think it is one of the funniest movies ever made. Like, the jokes still crack me up. Peter Boyle does so much with just his facial expressions. It is a delight. Gene Wilder, Cloris Leachman, just pretty much a perfect movie. Nothing else I can say. Watch Young Frankenstein if you haven't. You will love it, I guarantee. This is a very, very cool Blu-ray box set of the Universal Monsters movies. And I can include this one because look, Frankenstein's on the front right there, and it has Frankenstein. There's the bride down there. It has Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein. And it's shaped like a coffin. But then on the inside of the coffin is just like the regular box set that they put these in. Because if you were just to put what was inside that into the coffin, it would be all loose. Whereas with this, it fits quite snugly. Yeah, it's got Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Bride of Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. And they're all pretty good movies. The Wolfman, I don't care for that much, but all the others I really, really enjoy. Folds out. You've got all the different... So there's Frankenstein, there's Bride of Frankenstein down there. It's a very, very cool thing. It being in, like, the coffin box, just... It's that nice little extra aesthetic thing that, like, they didn't need to do that. They could have just released the regular box set, which, like, they still do. Like, most people... I don't know if they still do the coffin box version of it. But they still definitely do just the regular version of it, which would have been cheaper anyway. But I couldn't pass up the chance for this little cool aesthetic piece. Could I? Okay, so now we're moving on to just miscellaneous stuff. Because they put out a lot of just like weird, silly Frankenstein stuff here and there. There's just like, you find it one-off in a shop every Halloween and then you'll never see it again. And, like, I'm not one to pass up silly, weird things, am I? So first, I'll show you, like, a few kind of costumey bits that I have, because they're fun, why not? So first, these bolts that you just put around your neck. They don't hold on particularly well, but they're just kind of this flexible wire in the middle. And what is it? You just put it around there, and you wear it like that, and you've got Frankenstein bolts. This is a Frankenstein head. This is absolutely going to ruin my hair, but shall we look? This is very, very small. Like, this does not fit me properly whatsoever, but, we're building it up. And then this terrible Frankenstein mask with the sticky up hair. So I'll put this... I won't put this on because I just broke the elastic. We can look, see, that's what it would look like. But I can't tie it onto my face because I just broke it. Okay. Now let's see what my hair looks like when this comes off. I don't know. Was it exciting? I couldn't tell. I just realised I didn't put it back to the thing, so you can see the audio recording because that's what it's supposed to be. It's my boy. Yeah, this is the silliest piece of costume that I own. This is an inflatable Frankenstein head. I am absolutely going to inflate it for you now. Hopefully it doesn't have any holes or punctures in it or anything and it will still work. But I haven't inflated it for a long time. But I will do it for you now. And I'll speed it up, I won't just make you sit and watch through the couple of minutes or whatever it'll take me to blow it up. So I have the energy of a dad blowing up his kid's paddling pool because he was too cheap to buy a foot pump. You see, it'll be worth it when it's done. It'll be I assure you, it's very funny. I think that's about as good as it's going to get. So yes, it's an inflatable Frankenstein head. And you've got to put it on you like this. Well, maybe it's more like, I think this is a strap for the back. It goes, or something like that. It's hitting the microphone, it's too tall. It's got to be something more like this. But yeah, so this is a look, let's be honest, and I pull it off. Not many people could, but I am fashionable enough that I can pull this look off. So, that's good for me. I'm very lightheaded now. These are a couple of, this is a bag, this is a treat bucket. They've both still got the label on. This one I only got very recently. This one my friend got for me a couple of years ago. And again, they are simple. They've got cute monster designs on. We like them. This is like a plate. I got this at the same time that I got the treat bucket. I just walked through Home and Bargain and just found whatever Frankenstein stuff they had and just left with it all. So I guess the idea is that you would put like sweets for like trick-or-treaters or whatever out on this. I don't have anything to say about it. It's a plate. This is a lawn sign. You're meant to put this out in your garden and it says welcome, but I don't have a garden. I live in a flat 14 floors up. It just kind of lives in a box, but I look at that face. How could I say no to that face? This one's a very special one. This is a one-of-a-kind item because my friend made it for me. This is a cat toy, so it's Frankenstein and it's got catnip on the inside, and my friend made it for me out of felt. And it's very, 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 very good. Nice, friendly gift of her. It's got a big F on the back for Frank, because it's Frank's cat toy, it's not mine. Technically, this isn't part of my collection, this is part of Frank's, but he lent it to me, for now. I'll give it back to him later. So this is a little, I don't know what material it's made out of, but it's a little model of Frankenstein that I painted. There was absolutely nowhere near enough paint, very, very small, so you can, as you can probably see, it's all very, very splotchy and badly applied because I'm not very good at these things, and also there wasn't enough paint to do the job. It didn't actually have any grey paint. I had to bodge that out with the black and the white, and so it's a very, very dark grey, much darker than it should be. But I did my best, and that's all that matters in the end. I think the fact that he looks a bit cheap and naff adds to his charm. So this adorable little guy is a piggy bank. You can see he's got the slot in the back there to put the money in, and he's got a little thing in his arse you can take out. Sorry, mate, I'm taking out your plug. Okay, that's too sexual for YouTube. You weren't expecting jokes like that from the Asexual channel. I found this one in a charity shop, just randomly. It feels like it's homemade almost. I don't know. I don't know where this is from. I have no information about this. Like I said, I just found it in a charity shop, and I thought it was so adorable. As I remember, I think I was pretty strapped for cash at the time. It was a bad decision to be buying something, and it wasn't expensive, but still, I had no money at all to spend on anything. I was flat broke, but I could not leave him there. I had to rescue him, and I'm glad I did. I made the right decision. Following on from a piggy bank, what would you put him on? A coin. So this is a £2 coin that they made in 2018, and it comes in this very nice presentation booklet. I don't think the coin can actually come out of here. I think it is just lodged in there forever. But it's got a little timeline of the monster. It's got all, it's got the Boris Karloff movie. It's got Peter Cushing. It's got the Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller theatre version, which is pretty good. It's a good little booklet with a nice little thing of information. A nice little presentation thing. It's a £2 coin that I will never ever spend. This is just a little key ring. I was down in that London just before the start of the pandemic, and I went to Forbidden Planet and I just saw that they had blind bag of Universal Monsters key rings, and I must admit I cheated. I felt through the blind bag to feel that feels like a square kind of head. Could be, hopefully, and sure enough it was. I got it on the first go. Didn't have to buy a bunch of blind bags to find Frankenstein. I just got the one and I got it right. Because I cheated. The moral of the story, kids, is sometimes it's okay to cheat. But yeah, he's cute. I like him. So this is a little dancing Frankenstein. I think on the thing it said zombie, but he's clearly a Frankenstein. And it's one of those ones where it's got the solar power thing, and just in the sun it jiggles itself about like that. This one is one that I'm wearing. It's a necklace. I got this one off of Etsy just a little while ago. And it's Anatomical Heart. It's got a little teeny tiny lightning bolt. I will show you this better in close-up than it is, because currently it's on my neck, so I can't really show it that well. But it's very cute, and it can be... So if I want to, I can wear it as a full-length necklace, but with this dress, it looks a bit better if it's up. So it's another wearable thing that I don't have it to hand because it's currently hanging out to dry from me wearing it recently, but it's the yellow Bride of Frankenstein t-shirt that I wore in several parts in the Hedwig video. I've worn that in a few things before. It's a very nice, very cool t-shirt. I'll put up a picture of me wearing it, or a video clip of me wearing it or something here, just so you can see what that looks like, but I don't have to go get it because it's currently hanging up to dry, so I want to leave it there. Right here I have a Frankenstein, or Bride of Frankenstein lunchbox. It's got her on the front, it's got her on the side, it's got her in the bandages on the back, and then it's got her on the side again. And in here, It says, on the top it says, "She's alive!" And inside this lunchbox, I keep a few little things. Not very much in here. My plan is to fill this up, like, when I collect kind of, like, small papery things, like if I get, like, trading cards or whatever, they can go in here, but I don't have many yet. But this is a collection of stamps from the Isle of Jersey from 2018. Then it's got these very, very lovely painted designs of various things from Frankenstein. And these, absolutely gorgeous, love those. And then this is one individual stamp of and this has got The Curse of Frankenstein, the 1954 movie, and it's just like the poster, and it's very, very cool. No one who saw it lived to describe it. My favourite thing about this, though, is the little card that they sent to back it on. On the back of it is just got a little picture of a crocodile. Or an alligator? I don't know. But he's cute. And then the coolest thing that I keep in this lunchbox, like the papery thing, is this. It is a Frankenstein Viewmaster. So for the kids at home, who might not remember, it's these little reels that look like this. And you put them into one of these, which I bought specifically for this. And so you put one of these reels in. I'll do that right now. And you get it lined up. And you can see pictures. And you flick this on and it moves through to the next picture on the reel. And it's a very cool little way of like experiencing like an interactive story, basically. And I really like this one. My friend Kiki from Transparency alerted me to the existence of this. I think she might have been looking for moving ones. But basically it tells the story of Frankenstein. It's got a little book to accompany what happens in each picture, and it tells a not exactly accurate version of Frankenstein, but it's very, very, very cute. Very nice. It's got like little activities you can do. 1976 this is from. So this is one of the older things that I have. And it's really, really, really cool to have this. And you can probably see them from it's done with like these little models. Obviously I can't show you the pictures because they're just the tiny thing, but they are archived online, so I can download a few and I can probably a few examples of what the pictures in it are like. But they're this really, really cool way of telling the story through these really gorgeous like model shots. This is like a very, very cool find, and I'm very glad I had it. So next up, I have a couple of cacti, because, you know, I made the joke about not fucking a cactus one time, and then somehow I ended up owning 2 cacti. Well, this one, my friend got me this one as a present for when I got 10,000 subscribers, and then she got me the Frankenstein pot for it to go into at Christmas. And look at that, he's so happy. He's such a happy guy. He's a happy-go-lucky creature. And then this one, I was just walking through the shop and I saw it with the little Frankenstein pot, and I was like, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. It's so cute. Cacti are a great plant to have if you have ADHD, because it doesn't really matter if you forget to water them, because they can live for a long time without water. Like, get yourself desert plants if you have ADHD and you want to have plants. So here in my living room, I have this absolutely gorgeous poster print by the artist Greg Ruth that I got from Mondo News. It's got the Bride of Frankenstein, it's got Frankenstein's eyes there and the castle coming down. It's just such a fantastic piece of work that I paid probably more than I should have done for it. And then on the opposite wall, I've got these Universal Monsters postcards that came with the Coffin box set. And as you can see, it's got Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein there and all the other movies that are in that set. And I just backed them on a piece of red card and put it in a frame, and it looks pretty nice, I think. Okay, next up I have some soft toys. I don't know why I keep the labels on some of these things and some I don't. Like, I'm not fussy about keeping labels or like boxes or anything. You know, I believe that the stuff you get is meant to be on display. I sometimes keep it like packaging if it's something more delicate and I want to keep it nice, but like stuff, again, I don't know why I kept these on, but it's the Little Monsters Universal Studios range. 2017, okay, so these are from 2017, and they're really adorable. Like, look at these little faces. Look at these. Like, I couldn't buy just Frankenstein without the brand. You know, I had to keep them together, because they're in love. They are just the most adorable things. I really love these ones. So this is Goofy as Frankenstein. I'm guessing this was from like a Disney World thing. Obviously, it's Disney. Like, you're not going to get knockoff Disney merchandise because they're very, very litigious. I don't know what year, but it's got a little label there that says Goofenstein. He's got the little tuft of green hair up here. He's got his goofy ears. He doesn't have a hat like Goofy normally has, but that's okay because he's a Frankenstein. And he's just a very, very cute guy. As far as I'm aware, other than the Donald Duck in Frankenstein comic book, there isn't like a Donald Duck Frankenstein toy or anything that I'm aware of, so his head does a big nod. Pretty cool. This is a Pusheen. This is technically called like Zombie Pusheen, but you look at that stitching, you look at that colour, that's a Frankenstein Pusheen. She looks very angry. This is a angry Pusheen. I love Pusheen. She's so cute. You know, you just send your friend the stickers of Pusheen on the Messenger app, and it's like, yeah, I've just made everyone's day better. Just want to hold my Pusheen for a little bit. Okay. So this is Animated Frank. I got this from Sainsbury's, but he's still got his tags on. And he's got this weird checkerboard, like one-piece design that opens up in the back because you've got to get the batteries. Yeah, this is an animated one. And so as you can see, it's got a button saying press here. So if I press here, I'll show you like the full thing of that, of him walking around and everything. I'll like film an extra bit of that for the end of this, because you don't really get the effect when he's just like wiggling around in my hand like this, you know. It's underwhelming up here, but in action it's also underwhelming, but it's fun. The next one, it's this little teeny tiny Frankenstein bust. So this is a pretty good sculpt of Boris Karloff. It's got a nice scar up his chin there. It's got the bolts. It's got this kind of sunken in cheek that he had because he had a dental plate that he took out. Actually, I must be on that side because it's even more sunken in there. And he's got the scar up here. And he's got the bolt up there. Okay, it's a very nice, little detailed bust. So this is a Brickheads. These are like Lego Funko Pops, basically. But it's slightly better than a Funko Pop because you would like build it yourself out of Lego. Probably one of the coolest things, as I recall about this, like I'm not sure if I want to pull the bits off of it now, but on the inside of the head it has like a pink block that is the brain, which is very, I think all the Brickheads have that, but it's very, very appropriate for Frankenstein to have that. I'll see if I can get into it. Yeah, there we go. A pink Lego block. So you can see that's his brain. He's got a little brain on the inside, and I think that's a detail they didn't have to include, but I'm glad that they did. So I found out about this one from Maker Maddox, who is an old pal. I knew him back in the days when I was in those small YouTube groups that were gross and toxic and weird. And he was a very nice guy. He's Maker Maddox. Makes fun, silly videos about craft stuff. I've got to try and remember which way around these go. Were they this way? Were they that way? This is the riveting YouTube content that people tune into my channel for. Okay, I put them back together now. But yeah, I think that's a very cool little thing. Like, I like the way that they have managed to capture the essence of the creature in this. And I do thank Maker Maddox for putting me onto this, because I know he's a fan of Lego and Brickheads, and he just like sent me a link one day. It's like, and I was like, God damn it, now I have to buy it. And I bought it, and I love it. So this is a very teeny tiny one. This is Dave Prowse as the monster from Frankenstein the Monster from Hell. I can hold it up a little closer, but I'll show you in close-up later. But I think this is from one of those like Ravenscroft magazine kind of things, you know, like, oh, you get the binder with the second issue. And it might have been for like a Hammer Horror Monsters chess or something. Or it might just be like little Hammer Horror figures. I've never seen any of these other figures. I've only ever seen this one. And it's Dave Prowse as Frankenstein the Monster, as the monster from Frankenstein the Monster from Hell, which is one of like the weirdest looking monsters. And I love that there is even this small a little figure of him. I'm very glad to have one of those. He's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. But then on a larger scale, currently holding my Iron Brew, is this gorgeous one of Christopher Lee. So this is Christopher Lee as the creature from The Curse of Frankenstein. Christopher Lee, when he got told that he had no lines in the script, he was furious and he barged into Peter Cushing's dressing room. And he's like, I've just been told that I have no lines. And Peter Cushing, just like, without like kind of breaking for a moment, just goes, you're lucky. I've read the script. And yeah, it's a really, really detailed, like really captured the likeness. It's got the scars exactly like they are in the movie. It's got like the bolts on the hand. It's got a little padlock on the back. This is an absolutely stunning, really fabulous piece. They made like a range of these. There was only a few. I've got the box still actually of this one, but it does have what the others were on the back. So it's got, this is the other one I want. It's got Peter Cushing as Baron Frankenstein, but I've only ever seen it being sold for far too much money and by someone in Australia, so shipping would be ludicrous. So I haven't got that one. But then it's got Count Dracula, Van Helsing, and Countess Dracula, who I do not remember from any of the Dracula movies. I've seen them all, but it's been a while, so maybe she was in the movies, but it might just be that they wanted to put out a booby vampire figure. I don't know. But yeah, and it's a pretty cool, very sizable box. Just takes up a lot of room. So yes, I'll have another sip. I'll have a sip of my iron brew, and then I'll give it back to him. Good YouTube content right there. Thanks, Chris. The last of my miscellaneous things. This is a very cool one, I think. This is Waddington's Frankenstein. I'll say Escape from Frankenstein. Unlimited Horror and Excitement. So this is a board game of Frankenstein. I won't get the stuff out here because it's in too awkward a position to pull everything out of it because I'm sat in like a chair surrounded by stuff. But it's, again, I will do like a proper, like more in-depth look at this, like film it in a bit. But what I can show you at the very least, I can get him out of here, is the Frankenstein himself. This is such a cool thing. And you can look, there is, you kind of, when you're playing the game, you kind of bend him down and he picks up the players. So I can probably show you that much. Again, I will show this better in like a more close-up look, but he can hold the players in his hands, and you have to like, this is like part of the game. You have to like, you have to mess. You have to do this to mess with the players and get them like back so that you can beat them. It's a very fun and silly game. I mean, I assume it's fun to play. I kind of played a fake game against myself. I've never actually played a proper game with other people because I live alone. For some reason, no one wants to live with me and all my cool Frankenstein stuff. So, their loss. I'm kidding. I live alone because I choose to, because it's way better. So this is the Frankenstein board game. So as you can see, we've got this very nice game board with all this cool art on it. It's all the different bits of Frankenstein's castle, ending with the laboratory over here. And the laboratory is this separate piece that goes on there, and you can see the creature rests there. And basically the way it works is the players start off down here, and they have to get up here to get a key, and then get back down here to get into the laboratory and escape. And to move, you flip over these cards and they will tell you move 5 spaces, and then you would move a player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, and it carries on like that. Everyone moves the turn, so you move 3 spaces, but every now and then you will get a card that says activate Frankenstein, and when that happens, Frankenstein gets up and he comes down here, boom, boom, and then you use this device to control how many spaces Frankenstein moves. And you just keep moving Frankenstein until you get up to another player. You can come up behind him like this. And then you just simply pick him up. And then you keep using the thing. Yeah, once you capture them, he immediately moves there. And then the player who has been captured takes control of Frankenstein and has to roll the thing until they can get down to here where they escape. And so, when you get captured by Frankenstein, you lose the keys, obviously. And so yeah, so that's the board game. You have to be the first to escape, but you can, if you get an Activate Frankenstein card, you can just kind of mess around the other players by capturing them and making them lose the key and having to go all the way back there when you've got to get up there to get the key. And to get the key, you have to land specifically on that one square that has the key symbol on it, and it's really difficult to do that when the only way you're moving is with cards that tell you how many spaces you've got to move. Don't know if there are any... Yes, okay, sometimes you get ones like, I wish you weren't here, change places with any other player. You'll get, take fright, move to any space in the haunted bedroom, so you'd have to go up there. And it's that sort of thing. I imagine it would be a very fun game, but as I say, I have no one to play it with because I live alone. So yeah, so now we come to like the final portion of my collection. This is the action figures. This is probably one of the ones that people have been like looking forward to seeing. Or not, maybe no one's watching this at all, I don't know. This is a Diamond Select figure based on the original Boris Karloff movie. It was like early 2010s this was released, I think. I'm not sure of the year. It probably says somewhere. Yeah, it says on his foot. 2012. Okay, so this one was released in 2012. It comes with like a table, and the table originally had like a little bit there that his head rested on, but I lost it when I was moving house. So yeah, he's got a little table he can lie on. Very, very limited articulation on this one. He can move the arms. You can move the head a little bit, and the feet can move, but the legs, just nothing doing there. It just does not move at all on the legs. It's pretty good capturing of the likeness. He's got a nice bolt going down the arm there. And it's like the sleeves sleeves do like this. The sleeves do kind of like my sleeves on this dress and only go so far. And this is another Diamond Select one. This is based on Son of Frankenstein, where he wears this big fur. This one is a lot better in terms of articulation. You can move a lot more of him around. And he's got a little base that he stands on. So there were two versions of this figure, I think. And this is like the Toys R Us exclusive one, which is slightly less good. Like the figure itself is basically the same. But the initial one, like the more general one, which was just a lot harder to find and a lot more expensive than getting this one, had like a bigger base, and it had like a little bit of machinery that came with him. But this one, it's got the base, and it's got Inspector Krog's arm that you can just slot into his hand there, and he holds that. He looks very, very menacing. Again, I really like that one as a very cool figure. And it's very, very tall. It's a lot taller than the other one. The arm falls out very easily. If I compare it to this other figure, you can see it's a good deal taller. This is one of the taller Frankenstein figures that there is. So this is a Scooby-Doo Frankenstein action figure. I don't really remember much of Scooby-Doo. I'm sure that Scott Niswander, if he's watching, will be able to tell me exactly which episode this comes from. He's got basically no articulation. His legs don't move. They're in this weird, awkward splayed position. His head doesn't move, but the arms move, which is good because they have to be behind his back like this. Because if I stand him up with his arms behind his back, he stands up. You know, he can stand up okay. If I put the arms forward like you would expect from a Frankenstein, you know, you would expect him to be in like the... But if I do that with this one, because of his weird splayed feet, he just falls over. Yeah, this one, he's got to have the arms back to be able to stand up. But that's okay. We like him anyway. So I have a couple of figures now from the TV show Penny Dreadful, which is actually a pretty fun show. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I even enjoyed the sequel series, Penny Dreadful City of Angels. I think it's a shame it got cancelled. So I think he's called Harry Treadaway, who plays Victor. And when were these made? 2015. So that must have been when the show was coming out. So yeah, it's Victor. As you can see, it's like not a very good figure. Like really cheaply made. Like the hips stick out weirdly because of the bolt, because of the joints, and like it's very small and very flimsy and cheap. I think they were like a con exclusive or something that they made to promote the show. Like there's loads of them on eBay. Like, absolutely tons. And I always saw so many of these on eBay and I thought, why are there so many and why are they so cheap? And then I got them and I realised It's because they're not very good. But yeah, that's Harry Treadaway. I think that's the actor's name. I will put up a correction if it's not. Harry Treadaway as Victor, and then that's I forget his name now. I will put the name up on the screen because I've forgotten it, and I feel bad. He played the creature who went by the name John Clare in the show, and he's a very, very good, like, pretty faithful to the book adaptation in terms of, like, look. He's dropping the book. He's not really, like, the book came with Victor, but Victor has absolutely no way of holding the book in his hands, but the creature has a hand that can hold the book, so if you get the two together, you can have the creature holding the book. But yeah, he's got the big coat that covers up most of his face, but there is a face underneath it. He's got some... Again, this one is a slightly more pleasing figure just because you can't really see the weird hip joints because of the big coat. But yeah, they're not very good figures, but they are charmingly bad. I like them quite a lot. So, continuing on with the fairly naff ones, these are the bendable figures. They don't have proper articulation, but they've got like the kind of wire frame inside the rubber, so that they can bend, and you can make them do the Matrix pose. There's quite a good bit of detail on the face and the sculpt. Like, for all that it's, again, it's this weird, cheap, rubbery thing, and I remember having Star Wars ones like these when I was a kid that they would break all the time. Like, the wires in them would come out if you bend them too much, so it's better to leave it alone, but it's quite a nice one. Like, in terms of detail and things. The bride, as well. And she's got the big shocker hair. Same bendable. It's a cloth on the outfit, whereas this one's outfit is all just, like, sculpted rubber to it. But this one's got, like, the cloth dress, and then it's got, like... Sorry to expose you. It's got these, like, sculpted bandages underneath the sculpted figure. And again, it can do the bendies. Like, no wonder she's screaming like that. I just lifted up her dress. That was very rude of me. So, next I have these... This is the Sideshow Collectibles, I believe. These are the only ones of Sideshow Collectibles figures that I have, is Bride of Frankenstein. And so there's two versions of it. There's the colour version, which is obviously this one here. And there is the black and white version, which is this one here. And you might be wondering, why do I have like a colour and black and white version of the same toy? Well, they're a bonded pair and they can't be separated. I don't normally keep this one because they both have the like alternate heads where they're in the bandages, but I usually keep them both looking like this just because I much prefer that as the look for the Bride of Frankenstein. But just to show off that it has that alternate, I made this one look like this for you right now. But as you can see, it's got alternate heads for them, so that's like the colour version of the bandage head, that's the black and white version of the regular head, and then that's the dress from the black and white one. So I will return her to her dignity once all this is done, don't worry. So this is a very delightful one. This is the Migo figure, where they made ones that looked like this back in the 70s, and then this is like a remake of it to try and recapture that look. And it's really adorable. He's got like the chain that goes between his arms like that. It's meant to glow in the dark. I've never really seen it work properly, but he's got like the fabric outfit that has Velcro, and you can reveal his ripped bod under his shirt. I like him just because because they've gone for that deliberately like kind of not very high quality look of the 70s figures. It is very like low poly almost. It's very flat, and there's something very charming in not very good looking figures, but in terms of like the articulation and things, like it's actually quite high quality considering that it doesn't look very good. Like they did a good job of actually making a nice figure while capturing the aesthetic of an old cheap one. So I do appreciate the work that went into that. Very similar to this one is the Mezco 112 one. So this one, I like to think of this one and the Migo one as kind of like the high and low res versions of each other, because this one is a lot more detailed. I don't think the chain is long enough to stretch between his two arms unless I put them further down. But he's got this base. I don't normally have him on the base because it's got like the weird arm on the back, and I don't like that. So I'll take him off the base. But the base has got like the electrodes design on it. That's pretty cool. And like I say, he's got the bolts that go over his arm. They're pretty good. Although, like I say, not really long enough on this one, I don't think. This is actually one where I kept the box, which I don't don't normally do, but because there are spare parts to this one, and so I use this as like a spare parts box for. So like I keep the Bride of Frankenstein spare parts in here, and so that's like the kind of got upside down. That's the kind of display you'd have with it, and it's got like the pictures of him on the back looking very menacing, and it's got alternate hands and an alternate head. So I generally keep him in this like snarling, not very pleased face with the kind of outreaching hands. But I have the alternate option here, and I've put them on the wrong hands. I've put them on back to front, so I'll fix that, and then I'll try again. Okay, now they're on the right hands, and they're slightly less angry looking. I can pop his head off and give him a more neutral looking face. So there, now he's not quite so menacing, but I do prefer him with the kind of the snarling face on this one. But it's good to have options, you know. This one, I don't feel the need to get like a second one of this exact same one just to put it in the alternate, you know, configuration. Much as it is a pretty good figure. Okay, so it's the Jakks Pacific. I think this is from 2004, I want to say. Yeah, 2003, Jakks Pacific. So I think this was made to tie into the release of Van Helsing, I think. I want to say. I might be completely wrong. But this is a really, really cool... the detail on it, on the chair, and it's really, really good. And you'll notice on the back, it's got a little lever here. And when we flick that lever, he breaks free! Oh no! It's a very nice action feature. But what's also cool is, because you would expect that would be it, but you can, in fact... You can take those off. The chains are actually metal, which is it's a very nice piece of quality. Like most of the time, chains are plastic, but you can take him out of the chair and you can stand him up. He has articulation. You don't want to move the arms too much, but you can. You know, you can't really move the arms. Although there's an elbow joint. Although in this one it seems to be stuck, and you can move the head. Although that feels very loose. But yeah, you don't want to move the arms too much because of the action feature. So, and you can rotate him. So I think I just find it like it's a nice little extra that he can come out of the chair. I always leave him in the chair because you never know when you're going to want to make him do that. Which without the chains, it looks a lot more silly. It looks like he's like just really hungry. And he's complaining and asking for his food. Yeah, so I do like that. That is one of my favourite ones. Last and by no means least, we have this is the very new one from NECA. This just came out this year. And NECA makes such really, really high quality figures. It's a great sculpt of Boris Karloff's face. He's got the flowers, that is not an accessory you normally see. And I really appreciate that detail because that's one of the most memorable scenes in the film is the bit where he's throwing the flowers into the water with a little girl. Whoop, one just fell. It's a little tricky to get him to hold them because they're very finicky, but it is a really nice little accessory to have with him, the flowers. And he holds one in that hand, two in that hand, and he's got like a kind of a rictus grin going on. But this one comes with some extras as well. So I kept the box, which is a nice box. It's got the film poster on the front. It's got some pictures of him on the sides, and it's got the window box. And he was in there, and you can see he's got two heads and some extra hands and a chain. A little tougher to pop off on this one than the other one, but that's okay. Hopefully that just means it's a quality figure, which it is. This is very high quality. Again. None of these are like reviews. I'm not. None of this is like paid. Obviously, this is just stuff that I like. But the NECA figure is genuinely probably the best quality one out of all the ones I have. Oh, he's not happy. He's snarling. He's mad. Very, very, very displeased. I can pop those off again. And I can change heads. Again. Okay, I usually keep this one with like the smiling face with the flowers. I think that's nice, and I think it makes him stand out quite a bit from the other versions of Frankenstein. And like this, he looks quite horrifying. Maybe I should just put him on display like that. Just terrify everyone. Yeah. And he's got a more neutral face, which, as I say, this is a common occurrence, by the way. Yeah, so he's got a chain, and what I like about this one is the chain, it doesn't open up like the other one, so to put it on, you've got to take the hands off, slot it over the wrists like this, and then you can put his third set of hands on. And that's you're paying for quality when you get 3 heads and 3 hands and multiple different accessories. And so you can have him chained up. But I like this monster to be free and to have flowers in his hands. So that is the way he will go back to. But yeah, there is a colour version of this one. It's already out in America. This is the black and white one. The colour version is already out in America. It comes out here like next week. So I'm hoping... I've pre-ordered it because I wanted the colour version as well, so that I can have one with the chains and one with the flowers. So yeah, hopefully that one arrives. If that one arrives with enough time for me to film a quick thing of it before I put this video out, then I will add that in. If not, then tough. He is back to being a happy man once more. And that's let's see in terms of size. So he's bigger than the first Item Select one, but smaller than the second one, which is reasonable. But yeah, that I think is probably the highest quality figure out of all of them. NECA do absolutely fantastic figures. So yeah, that is all of my Frankenstein collection, I think. I don't think I missed anything out. If I did, oh well. It's still going to be a fairly long video going through all this stuff anyway. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you all so much for the support that you've been showing the channel, especially on this new coming out as non-binary video. The response to it has been terrific. I'm filming this the day after it, and I've just had so many lovely messages from people talking about how much it helped them to feel comfortable, how much it moved them and related to experiences they've had, and I just cannot put into words how much it means to me that my work has actually spoken to people in that way. So thank you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching me ramble about my weird obsession with Frankenstein and all of this stuff that I have. I hope that it was entertaining. I don't know. Though it does occur to me, there is one Frankenstein I have forgotten. How could I forget the most important Frankenstein of all? Frankenstein the Cat. He is a gorgeous boy, a rescue. He's 8 years old. Like grumpy middle-aged man, aren't you? He's not very happy because I just disturbed his sleep to do this. But I got him just over 3 years ago, and he is the best thing that I own. I don't own him. I don't own you. You own me. He's the best thing in my life, basically. I love this dear boy, and I was very fortuitous to get him because when I went to rescue him, I'd been back visiting my parents for a few days, and I saw him on the shelter website, and the day I got back to Liverpool, I called him up and I was like, I wanted to see this cat. And they were like, oh, sorry, someone's coming out to see him today. Call us back in the morning and, we'll let you know whether or not they've taken him. And so I thought, I'm not going to get him. And, he was already called Frank, which I wanted to name a cat after Frankenstein, and he's a black cat, and he was indoor only, which I needed. And so I called him up the next day, and they said, oh no, the person hasn't taken him. We've got someone coming to look at him tomorrow. And I was like, I will go today. I will go right now. And I went there, saw him, immediately fell in love, paid the deposit, and the rest is history. And look at him. He's such a gorgeous boy. He is the best Frankenstein. And he wants to be put down. So he wants to be put down, and the video's gone on too long, as is already, I'm sure. So that's it. Bye. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth.